Hello friends, and welcome to my Laguna beach vlog. Here's just going to be a little snippet of a few fun things I got to do while at the ocean. Here we've got the drive to Laguna Beach through the Mojave Desert, which was the sweatiest and most disgusting I have ever felt in my entire life. It was still very beautiful as much as I loved the desert. Again, though, it was just so sweaty and hot and I don't know, just miserable for July. Definitely would not recommend, or I'd recommend going the other way around, so just know that. But again, it was still very beautiful, and I loved watching the landscape change the closer and closer we got to the ocean. Nevada and California are very similar in landscape, of course, until you actually make it to the ocean. Here is where we were staying, in a nice little hotel that had a balcony directly on the ocean. So the ocean was about, 6 feet below us, basically at any given point in time. It is one of my favorite places in the world now. I absolutely love Laguna. I'm so in love with her. And where we stayed also was a very hot surfing spot. There were pretty much constantly surfers every time we went outside, which was really, really neat to see. And as part of our trip, we did a lot of walking, so much walking, a lot of sightseeing. And of course, we also did a lot of eating and drinking and, well, more eating. And this was the best seafood I have ever had in my life. We ate multiple plates of that. And of course, we had to get a sweet treat pretty much any time we went out to eat, which was a lot. And one thing that I was not expecting to see when we made it to Laguna was at certain art exhibitions to see Keith Haring along with Salvador Dali and as well as Picasso. So here are some Salvador Dali sketches, and the one on the bottom right there is Picasso, and this was my favorite Salvador Dali. Although we're kind of panning into some other ones, we'll make our way back there. But these were really, really neat to see. I was, again, just not expecting to see Salvador Dali in person, probably ever, but especially not in Laguna Beach. Again, yeah, this was my favorite. I don't know why. And here's the Picasso. Again, it's not like a painting of his, but it was still incredible to see Picasso in person. We also have Mr. Brainwash, and I'm not a fan of pop art. I'm not a fan of his work personally, but it was still really neat to see him. I really like the documentary Exit Through the Gift Shop about pop art and graffiti art, and I don't know. If you've seen it, you get it. But again, I don't really like his work, but it was still really cool to see him in person. And then, of course, we went to some other art shows and galleries in the area, and we saw some really interesting works of art. And really, the entire city was art, if you will. I knew upon going that the entire city would be filled with art, but it was truly everywhere. And all the foliage and just the way that the town is set up and laid out, just again, it just feels like art in and of itself. And then there are flowers everywhere too, which I was very, very fond of. And of course, we spent a lot of time actually by the ocean, on the ocean, and in the ocean. I tried to get a video of us swimming, but it just wasn't working. So I only have some clips of us at the ocean, kind of looking at some tide pools and hanging out. And then, of course, the view from our balcony. absolutely incredible. And this is me setting up my portable easel so that I can do some plein air painting. I had only set this up once before previously, so this was a little bit of a task trying to remember how it works, trying to figure everything out, but made it work. And this was honestly a really long process of getting set up. Honestly, even the easel is a little bit crooked, which I didn't quite realize initially, and Mason had to help me out quite a bit, so I made sure that I was even getting at least an okay shot. Here I'm putting on the underpainting, which I used probably like a burnt sienna is usually what I use, or a burnt umber. And then I'm getting the palette set up, of course, for all my colors, which this took roughly about an hour. I know that this is sped up and it makes it seem like it's going by so quickly, but again, this took probably an hour. It was really excessive and very time consuming and energetically pretty draining. One thing I have to say about the actual painting of this video, it's really bad. Not necessarily the painting itself, but this was my first time doing plein air ever, but this was also my first time filming myself doing plein air ever. So essentially, I did not get very good shots. My back is in the way most of the time, and I'm going to kind of show you guys when the video starts playing me actually painting how bad it looks. Again, you can kind of see some stuff at the beginning here, but it's so bad. If only I could go back and do it over, I would. But that's okay. It's all a learning experience. So again, my back is just totally in the way, just to show you. And then basically I had to cut out a lot of the video just to show some bits and pieces that you can actually kind of see throughout the video. Again, it's a learning experience, so I'm trying to not be too mad about it. But again, this was a learning experience, so it is what it is, and I will definitely have better videos of my paintings in the future. One thing I really love is using the palette knife. I've never used a palette knife to paint before, and it was really actually giving, I know you can barely see it here, it's giving some amazing texture, and that was something that I was not expecting during my first plein air painting. Also, another critique of myself, if you will, is that I should have started way smaller for my first plein air painting. That's something that I've actually been doing since this video and since this trip, is working on way smaller canvases. I'm talking like 4x5 or 5x7, somewhere along there. This is like a 9x12, I want to say, and it was definitely a little bit too big for what I had in mind. And I think because of that, the upper portion is kind of weak, but we'll go into that once we actually see the final result. I do have to say, even though you can't really see what's going on, the vibe was so there. And even if it's really hard to see what's going on, I hope that this is still a vibe, just because it's just so beautiful being by the ocean and being able to paint freely. It was incredible. Also, if you're wondering why the Prosecco box is there, I'm still trying to figure out how to work my easels, so I needed that additional support because my canvas, although it was too big for my plein air painting, it was still too small just to pop in. I needed that additional support, so that's what that's there for, in case that wasn't blaringly obvious. Okay, and this is the finished product of my painting. I'm really in love with this bottom portion that I put my entire heart and soul into. The upper half, I will have to say, oh gosh, I could have done so much better. I could have put so much more time into it. But again, I think I started just a little bit too big for this project as my first plein air painting. Lesson learned on not just the filming portion, but also learning my limits as far as size goes. I am still really happy with this considering it's my first time doing plein air. I've only done a few landscapes in my life. And I don't know, it was just really a beautiful, fun experience, and it was full of learning and beauty, and I love the ocean. I honestly cannot wait to come back. I'm hoping that we can come back next summer is kind of what we were talking about. So next summer, I will have so much more experience under my belt, and I will absolutely be able to film better shots, really, but also make products, paintings that are suiting what I'm going for just a little bit better. Ultimately, though, again, Laguna was just such a beautiful and fun experience, and I am just so in love with the ocean, so in love with everything about it. And if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. This last clip here is just of a surfer who will eventually catch a wave. It's super awesome. Again, if you stay this far, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you have any tips or questions, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Thank you.